Hi, thanks for checking out my channel. My name is Tarsha Wiggins. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and certified alcohol and drug counselor. Our topic today is going to be about communication. Before we jump into our content, as you always will hear me say in every video, these videos are intended to be of educational value to you. They are not intended for you to treat or diagnose yourself independently. So please, 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 please consult a behavioral health professional. All right. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's jump into our topic today. We're going to talk a little bit about communication. I just feel like with everything that's been going on this year, now we're almost over that 1 year mark. We all have heard and we've seen in the news the increase of mental health, the rise of the numbers. A lot of people that have never been affected by mental illness and or individuals that may have had some bouts with mental health diagnoses in the past, but because of the pandemic, because of the added stress, or because of a variety of other reasons, those individuals may have an increase or a worsening of symptoms, or maybe an onset of an additional diagnosis, or maybe their symptoms have become exacerbated. So what I really want us to talk a little bit about today is communication. I think that we have gotten ourselves used to or conditioned ourselves to, when someone asks you, how are you? How are you feeling? We give that very surface, oh, I'm okay, or I'm great, or things are all right, or it's just hard or rough, or things like that. But I really want to challenge us and encourage you guys to really be honest with yourselves when someone asks that question of you, to give an honest answer. And maybe you don't necessarily want to divulge to your neighbor that you're having a really hard time, but think about how you communicate, and are you communicating your needs to the appropriate person or entity, if you will. So what I want you guys to really be mindful of is, one, being honest with how you feel. We're going to start another video or two about emotions and emotional identification, because I think a lot of us as adults, we're just kind of happy, sad, upset, angry. We really don't think about our emotions and being able to really reflect and identify, how do I really feel? But you can't identify how you feel if you're not communicating or talking about how you feel. So that's coming soon. But what I want us to talk about and to be really focused on in this video is thinking about the ways in which I can communicate how I feel, because we're going to learn how to identify how I feel in our emotions and things like that. But just taking a couple of moments and just thinking about, well, how do I communicate? There's verbal and nonverbal methods of communication. Those of you that may have grown up in Black households, you know there are lots of ways to communicate the same thing in different ways. Your mom give you a look, your mom cross her arms, that tone may change, a variety of different ways. So I want us to be mindful about how we can communicate. One way that I think is very common in therapy is we'll encourage our clients to perhaps start journaling about how they feel. So that's one option. You know, maybe you're not someone who has traditional and maybe not as comfortable being vocal about how you're feeling or what you're thinking. One way that you can communicate is written. You can do that to family members or a partner, perhaps to your children, or maybe you just want to get in the habit of jotting down and communicating with yourself writtenly. That's totally fine. That's a great way to communicate. Another way I want to encourage us to be mindful about how we communicate, or another means to think about, is think about, can we do video logs? I know I'm not a big journaler. I just see that as another thing to do. I'm pretty good at talking. I hope a lot of you guys think that too. But that could be a really great alternative, especially as our children are starting to really have some struggles with mental illness, anxiety, the isolation, things like that. So this could be a fun and creative way to kind of keep a log about how you're feeling or what's going on in your life. And it can just foster being vocal, learning how to communicate, learning how to express yourself, learning how to digest and hear back what other people are telling you. So that's just another great way to think about or way to implement a form of communication. Other things I'm going to share real briefly, I'm going to let you guys go, is that we need to be really mindful about the things that's going on in our lives, the things that's going on in our heart, the things that's going on in our mind, and no one can help you unless you communicate how you're feeling, communicate what's going on with you. So I'm going to really encourage you guys to try some of these things. Maybe you want to journal, maybe you want to start some video journals. Maybe you want to take on a method or a habit of just starting some type of communication via text message or messenger, or some of those other ways that you can use social media and things like that to connect with someone else. Part of communication is also connecting with someone else. Certainly there's parameters and things that you need to be mindful of when you're doing that with other people, and as you disclose personal or sensitive things about yourself. But the big takeaway is that we communicate in different ways: verbal, nonverbal, written, maybe even video wise, messenger, social media platforms. But we have to communicate. I can't help my patients unless they show up and ask me or tell me these are the things that's going on with me. And many of you that may be at home, at work, in your car, wherever you're taking in this content in, you may be having some struggles with some things. You may be having some things in your mind or in your heart, or you're just worried or you're anxious, but you haven't communicated that to anyone. I encourage you to do so, and I would encourage you even more to communicate it to someone who's going to be able to receive it and be able to help you. Sometimes we do ourselves a disservice when we may express or communicate how we're feeling or what we're thinking, and we do that to a person that's not their cup of tea, that's not their area of expertise. So think about that too. Videos to come. We're going to talk about our emotions. We're also going to talk about how do I find that behavioral health provider? How do I find that therapist, someone I can just talk to? Those things are coming in some future videos. So be sure to like, subscribe, thumbs up, all that other great social media stuff. And as always, do something great for someone else today. These were your mental health minutes. Thanks so much for checking out my video, and please be sure to check out more.